The air has changed. Here in North America, late September carries a certain crispness. Mornings are cool, evenings come quicker, and the leaves begin their slow, graceful release from the trees. Nature is letting go. It reminds us that there are seasons for holding on and seasons for releasing what no longer serves us. But inside many of our homes, letting go isn't nearly as natural. Closets are overflowing. Garages are jammed with boxes stacked so high we're afraid to touch them. Attics hold decades of belongings, some valuable, many forgotten, all of them weighing on us more than we realize. For seniors especially, clutter is not just stuff. It's tripping hazards that threaten your independence. It's financial waste, paying for storage or maintaining rooms you no longer use. It's the emotional burden of knowing one day your children may have to clean up what you left behind. That's why this conversation is so important. Today we're diving deep into the truth about decluttering and downsizing, what no one ever told me, but what every senior deserves to know before they start. This is not just about clearing closets. It's about preserving your health, protecting your peace of mind, and passing on a legacy of freedom rather than burden. If you've ever looked at a room and thought, where do I even begin? Felt guilty about throwing away something tied to a memory, or worried that your children will one day resent you for leaving them with too much to sort through, then this video is for you. You'll hear the good, the bad, and yes, the ugly truths of decluttering and downsizing. What no one ever told me, but what every senior deserves to know before they start. This is not just about moving to a smaller home or getting rid of a few things. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. It's about shaping the final chapters of your life with intention, rather than letting stuff control you. So settle in, maybe pour yourself a warm cup of tea, and let's walk this journey together. Because what you'll discover today could change not only the way your home looks, but how you feel every single day when you wake up. The good, the surprising benefits of decluttering and downsizing. Margaret was 74 when she realized her house had grown too big for her. It wasn't just the size. It was the silence of rooms she no longer entered, the stairs that made her knees ache, and the weight of closets packed with reminders of a life already lived. For years, she had told herself, one day I'll go through this, but one day never came, until her doctor gently told her that if she wanted to keep living independently, she would need to make some changes. Margaret's story is one that many seniors will recognize. A home built over decades, filled with laughter, arguments, meals, holidays, triumphs, losses, and thousands of objects collected along the way. Letting go seemed impossible. And yet, once she began, Margaret discovered something she never expected: the good that comes with downsizing. 1. Simplicity. Less housework, more living. The very first surprise Margaret noticed was how simple life became. She moved from a 4-bedroom, 2-story home into a modest 2-bedroom bungalow. At first, the thought of shrinking her living space felt like defeat. She worried it would feel cramped. But within weeks, she found herself smiling as she cleaned. Why? Because cleaning now took minutes, not hours. Before, she could spend half a Saturday dusting knickknacks, vacuuming unused guest rooms, and chasing cobwebs out of corners no one even saw. After downsizing, she could finish her housework in under an hour and then spend the rest of her day doing what she loved. She told me, I never realized how much of my life I was spending cleaning a house that was too big for me. And she's not alone. Studies show that the average senior spends up to 14 hours a week managing household chores in larger homes. Downsizing often cuts that in half. That's not just less work, that's more life. So when you think about decluttering, don't just think about losing items. Think about gaining time, energy, and ease. The second benefit Margaret discovered was peace. For years, she carried around a low-grade stress she couldn't name. Every time she opened a closet, she felt a pang of guilt. Every time she saw her late husband's suits still hanging neatly in plastic covers, she felt both sadness and avoidance. When she finally let go, donating those suits to a local charity that helped men re-enter the workforce, she cried. But she also felt something she hadn't felt in years: relief. Her new home was uncluttered. Every item had a place, and for the first time in decades, Margaret could sit in her favorite chair and look around without feeling the silent weight of unfinished business. She described it to me like this: "It's as though the house stopped yelling at me. It got quiet, and I didn't realize how much I needed that quiet." Many seniors tell me the same thing. Clutter is not just physical, it's emotional. A cluttered home creates a cluttered mind. And when you release the excess, you create space for calm. The third gift of downsizing was time. When her house was full of clutter, Margaret often spent her days managing it, sorting piles, rearranging boxes, hunting for items she knew she had but couldn't find. She laughed when she admitted she once bought a second electric mixer because she couldn't locate the one she already owned. After decluttering, she found she had hours of her life back. Instead of shuffling through stuff, she painted watercolors again, a hobby she hadn't touched since her children were little. She joined a walking group at her local park. She spent Wednesday afternoons with her granddaughter baking cookies instead of reorganizing closets. She said, "I thought I was too old to start new things, but the truth was I was too busy holding on to old things." That's the magic of time. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you make room for what does.
4. Money, the hidden financial freedom. Margaret also discovered something practical. Downsizing saved her money. Her old home had high utility bills. She was heating and cooling rooms she rarely entered. She was paying for maintenance on a roof, a driveway, a yard, all of which cost hundreds every year. Moving to a smaller place cut her monthly expenses nearly in half. She also sold furniture she no longer needed and avoided duplicate purchases because now she knew exactly what she owned. For seniors living on a fixed income, this benefit cannot be overstated. Downsizing isn't just about saving space. It's about preserving your financial health and stretching your retirement income further. 5. Freedom, living life on your own terms. And finally, Margaret discovered freedom. She no longer felt tied to a house that was too big, too demanding, too heavy with history. Instead, she had a home that fit her life exactly as it was now. She wasn't defined by the boxes in her basement or the closets full of forgotten items. She was defined by the life she was living. She said, "I finally feel in control of my home instead of my home controlling me." And that's what decluttering and downsizing really give us: the freedom to shape the last chapters of our lives with intention. Reflection pause. Take a moment right now and imagine your own space. How much of it is actually serving you? How much of it is weighing you down? If you could wave a magic wand and only keep the things you truly use, truly love, or truly need, what would your days look like? That vision of simplicity, peace, time, money, and freedom is what waits for you on the other side of decluttering. But as Margaret will tell you, it wasn't all easy, because for every joy, there were also tears. For every moment of peace, there were days of doubt. That brings us to the second truth seniors need to know: the bad, the emotional roller coaster no one warns you about. The bad, the hidden challenges of decluttering and downsizing. Margaret often says the benefits of decluttering changed her life, but she also admits this: I cried more during those months than I had in the 5 years before. Because here's the truth: downsizing is not just about moving objects, it's about moving emotions. Every drawer you open, every box you touch, every closet you dare to empty, they all carry memories. And memories don't always come quietly. 1. The emotional roller coaster. Margaret described her journey like being on a ride she couldn't get off. One moment she felt excitement, I'm finally doing this. And the next she was overwhelmed by guilt, fear, or sadness. There were days she stood in the hallway, frozen, staring at a box of her late husband's photographs. Should she keep them all, throw them away, give them to her children? Each decision felt impossible, as though her choice could somehow erase a memory or dishonor the life she once had. And that's what makes decluttering so difficult for seniors. Every object tells a story: a wedding dress, a ticket stub from a concert in 1968, a chipped teacup once used by your mother. They're not just things, they're carriers of your history. This emotional tug of war is why many seniors stop before they even begin. The clutter feels safer than the emotions waiting behind it. 2. The fear of, what if I need it someday? Another bad part is the constant voice of doubt. What if I need this? Margaret laughed when she told me she kept 3 bread machines in her basement. She hadn't used any of them in years, but she convinced herself she might, just in case. Her neighbor Harold, age 82, had a garage stacked with power tools he hadn't touched in a decade. When asked why he kept them, he said, well, what if I want to build something one day? His daughter gently reminded him, Dad, you can't lift a saw anymore without your back hurting. He sighed, but he couldn't let go. The fear of needing something later is powerful, but here's the reality. Most of the time, we never do. Studies show that 80% of items people keep just in case are never used again. 3. Decision fatigue. Decluttering is a series of decisions. Keep, donate, discard. Each choice may seem small, but when you're facing hundreds of them in one afternoon, it can become exhausting. Margaret remembers sitting on her bedroom floor surrounded by piles of clothes. After 2 hours, she felt paralyzed. Every sweater suddenly felt important. She ended up stuffing everything back into the closet and shutting the door, ashamed that she couldn't follow through. This is decision fatigue. Your brain can only make so many choices before it begins to shut down. And for seniors, especially those already dealing with health challenges or memory decline, this fatigue sets in even faster. The weight of guilt. Perhaps the hardest part for Margaret was the guilt. The guilt for throwing away gifts her children had given her. The guilt for letting go of items she had spent money on but never used. The guilt for not being able to keep everything her parents had left her. She said, it felt like I was dishonoring the people I loved. One day she found an entire box of baby clothes she had saved from her first child, yellowed from age, too fragile to be worn again, but soaked in memory. She sat on the floor and wept. This is where many seniors stop. They tell themselves it's easier to keep the box than to face the pain. But here's the truth Margaret discovered. The memories are not in the objects, they are in your heart. When she finally let go of those baby clothes, she kept only one small blanket. And with that choice, she realized she could preserve her memory without preserving every single item. The physical challenge. The bad isn't only emotional, it's also physical. Lifting boxes, bending down, carrying heavy bags, all of these tasks can be dangerous for seniors. Margaret admitted that during her first week of decluttering, she strained her back trying to move a trunk from her attic. Her Her doctor told her bluntly, "Your body isn't built to haul decades of belongings." That's why seniors need to be careful and often need help. Trying to handle the process alone can lead to injuries that make the rest of the journey even harder. The constant temptation to quit. Margaret told me there were many mornings she wanted to close every box, shove it back into the attic, and forget she had started. She doubted whether the effort was worth it. She wondered if she should just leave it all for later. And she's not alone. Many seniors abandon the process halfway through, leaving their homes half decluttered, half chaotic. The truth is, downsizing tests your patience, your endurance, and your willpower, and there will be days when you want to stop. If you've ever started a drawer and quit halfway through, if you've ever sat on the floor surrounded by piles and felt more lost than when you began, if you've ever told yourself, "I'll just leave it for later," you're not failing. You're experiencing the same challenges Margaret did. These struggles are normal. They don't mean you're weak, they mean you're human. So yes, decluttering has its bad side. The emotional roller coaster, the doubt, the fatigue, the guilt, and the temptation to quit. But there's another category, one that Margaret calls the ugly. These are the mistakes that can make downsizing harder than it needs to be. The traps seniors fall into without realizing it. And if you know them ahead of time, you can avoid them.
Let's talk about those next. Margaret often said, "If I knew then what I know now, I could have saved myself months of stress." Because here's the truth. While the good brings joy and the bad tests your patience, the ugly can completely derail your progress if you're not careful. These are the mistakes most seniors make, and the ones you can avoid if you know them ahead of time. 1. Trying to do it all at once. When Margaret began decluttering, she made the classic mistake. She pulled everything out in one weekend. Boxes from the attic, clothes from every closet, stacks of papers from the office. Within hours, her home looked like a tornado had passed through. By evening, she was overwhelmed, sitting in the middle of piles, crying, not knowing where to begin. This is the ugly truth. Trying to do it all at once sets you up for failure. Decluttering must be a marathon, not a sprint. Seniors especially need to pace themselves. 10 minutes a day. One drawer at a time. One shelf this morning, another this afternoon. Slow and steady is not weakness, it's wisdom. 2. Doing it alone. Margaret admits she spent her first month alone, sorting through belongings in silence. She cried almost daily. She felt like she was drowning in decisions. Only when she finally asked her sisters and her daughter for help did things change. Suddenly, the work became lighter, not just physically, but emotionally. Her family laughed with her, cried with her, and reminded her that she wasn't letting go of people, only objects. Many seniors fall into the trap of pride, telling themselves, "I can do this myself." But decluttering isn't just a physical task, it's emotional labor. And without support, it can break you down. The lesson? Ask for help. Family, friends, neighbors, even community volunteers. You don't have to do this alone. 3. Bringing too much into the new space. Another ugly mistake. Carrying clutter into the new home. Margaret thought she had downsized enough when she moved from her 5,000 square foot family house into an 867 square foot bungalow. But when she unpacked, she realized she had brought too much. Closets overflowed, the garage filled again, and she felt like she hadn't really changed anything. She laughed when she told me it was like putting 10 pounds of potatoes into a 5-pound bag. This mistake is common. When you move to a smaller place, you must be ruthless about what comes with you. Less space means fewer items. If you try to cram everything in, you rob yourself of the very peace you work so hard for. 4. Waiting too long. Margaret admits she delayed downsizing for nearly 5 years after realizing she should. Those years added stress she didn't need. She paid higher utility bills, carried heavier responsibilities, and missed out on years of freedom. She also risked something many seniors fear: leaving a massive burden for her children. This is the ugly truth. Waiting makes it harder. As health declines, the process becomes more exhausting. The longer you wait, the heavier the clutter grows, not just physically, but emotionally. If you're thinking, "I'll deal with it later," later may not be kinder to you. The best gift you can give yourself and your family is starting now. 5. Continuing to accumulate. Decluttering isn't just about letting go, it's also about stopping the cycle of accumulation. For years, Margaret had a Friday night habit. She would go out shopping when she felt lonely. She called it retail therapy. But the comfort was short-lived and the clutter multiplied. She realized that unless she changed her habits, downsizing would never stick. She had to learn to ask herself, do I really need this, or am I buying it to fill a feeling? For seniors, this mistake is critical. Downsizing means adopting a new mindset, living with enough. Enough clothes, enough dishes, enough decorations. When you stop accumulating, you stop the clutter at its root. Think about your own life for a moment. Do you often pull out too much at once and feel paralyzed? Are you trying to handle this alone even though help is available? Do you still shop for things you don't really need out of habit or emotion? Have you delayed for years hoping the problem would disappear? If any of these sound familiar, you're not failing, you're human. These are common mistakes, but knowing them now means you can avoid repeating them. So far, we've looked at the good, the bad, and the ugly of decluttering and downsizing. But there's another layer we need to talk about: the misconceptions. These are the myths that scare seniors into believing decluttering is impossible, when in truth, it's within reach for anyone. One of the biggest reasons seniors never begin decluttering is not laziness. It's misconceptions. Beliefs that sound convincing but are simply not true. Margaret struggled with these, and so do countless others. Let's clear them up together. Misconception 1. Decluttering is always stressful and overwhelming. Yes, decluttering can be emotional. Yes, it requires effort. But does it have to be miserable? No. Margaret thought she'd spend months drowning in stress. Instead, once she took it drawer by drawer, something surprising happened. She felt empowered. Every bag she donated was a weight lifted off her shoulders. Every empty shelf felt like breathing room. Then there was Harold, 82, who dreaded touching his late wife's sewing room. He avoided it for years. When he finally started, his daughter suggested they turn the fabrics into quilts for the grandchildren. What began in tears ended in laughter as they remembered stories about grandma's dresses. Decluttering became an act of love, not loss. The truth is, with the right mindset, decluttering can be healing. It can even be fun. Misconception 2. Downsizing is only for minimalists. Margaret also believed this too. She thought downsizing meant stripping her life bare, like living with only a mattress and a fork. She didn't want that. But downsizing isn't about extremes. It's about balance. It's about keeping what serves you now, not what served you decades ago. Today, Margaret lives with 5% of what she once owned.
But that 5% includes her treasured family photos, her favorite chair, and the recipe box she uses with her granddaughter. It's not about living with nothing, it's about living with what matters. Minimalism is not deprivation, it's liberation. Misconception 3. If I let go of the object, I lose the memory. This one holds many seniors hostage. Margaret wept when she opened a box of her daughter's baby clothes. She thought getting rid of them meant erasing her role as a mother. But as she held the tiny blanket, she realized the truth. The memory is in her heart, not in the fabric. She kept one small keepsake and released the rest. Years later, she still remembers rocking her baby to sleep, and she doesn't need 20 boxes of clothes to prove it. Objects hold reminders, but they don't hold love. Love stays with you even after the item is gone.
Misconception 4. I'm too old to start now. Many seniors tell themselves, it's too late, I'll leave it for my kids. But that belief robs you of freedom. Harold is living proof. At 82, with aching joints and fading energy, he decided to try. Slowly, over months, he cleared out his home. He didn't finish in a week, he finished in a year. And when he did, he said, I never thought at this age I'd feel this light again. You are never too old to start, and the best time is not tomorrow, it's today. Misconception 5. My family will want all this stuff. This one can sting. Many seniors keep boxes of belongings believing their children or grandchildren will treasure them. But often, adult children live in smaller homes themselves. They don't want a dozen boxes of china. They don't need 3 sets of furniture. And the truth is, what they want most is not your stuff, it's you. Margaret realized this when her son gently told her, Mom, I don't need your furniture. I just need you to be healthy and happy. When you declutter, you're giving your family a greater gift, the freedom to remember you with love, not with the burden of sorting through decades of belongings. So ask yourself, have you been avoiding decluttering because you believe it's too stressful? Do you think you have to be a minimalist to make progress? Are you clinging to items because you fear losing the memory? Have you told yourself it's too late? Do you believe your children want everything you've kept? If you answered yes to any of these, you're not alone. But now you know they're misconceptions, not truths. And letting go of them might be the first step to letting go of the clutter itself. We've tackled the good, the bad, the ugly, and the misconceptions. But knowledge alone isn't enough. What you need now are the practical secrets that make decluttering easier, lighter, and more sustainable. And that's what we'll cover in the next section. The 5 top secrets to successful decluttering and downsizing. By now, you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and the misconceptions. But how do you actually move forward without losing hope or momentum? Margaret discovered that success came down to 5 simple secrets. These aren't rules written in stone. They're gentle guides that can turn a daunting task into a journey of freedom. Secret 1. Start small. Margaret learned this the hard way. Remember when she pulled out everything in one weekend and collapsed in tears? After that, she shifted her approach. She started with a single kitchen drawer, just one. She pulled everything out, sorted what she used from what she didn't, and put the drawer back together. It took 20 minutes. But that little drawer became a symbol. She proved to herself she could finish something. And the feeling of success carried her into the next task. 1 shelf in the pantry, 1 small closet, 1 stack of papers. The lesson? Start with something so small you can't fail. Don't begin with the attic. Begin with a drawer. Each small win builds momentum. Secret 2. Sort and categorize. Margaret's daughter introduced her to the 3-pile rule. Every item had to go into one of 3 piles: keep, donate, or discard. No 4th pile, no maybe later. At first, Margaret struggled. She kept moving things back to keep, but over time, her decision-making got sharper. She built what she called her decluttering muscle. One day, she surprised herself by donating an entire set of fine china she hadn't used in 15 years. She realized she didn't need it to prove she had once hosted beautiful dinners. She needed space for the life she was living now. Sorting gives you structure. It prevents decision fatigue and keeps you from shuffling items endlessly. 3 piles, no maybes. Secret 3. Acknowledge the emotions. This secret is vital. Decluttering is not just physical, it's emotional. And ignoring that truth only makes it harder. Margaret cried over her husband's suits. Harold wept as he packed away his wife's sewing supplies. Another senior I spoke with, Grace, said she broke down while sorting her holiday decorations, remembering the joy of family gatherings that no longer happened. The secret isn't to suppress those emotions, it's to acknowledge them. Cry if you need to. Tell the story of the object. Share the memory with a loved one before you let it go. By naming the emotion, you release its power over you. And remember, the memories are not in the objects. They live in your heart. Focus on freedom and clarity. When Margaret felt tempted to stop, she closed her eyes and imagined her new life. A smaller, tidier home, a space she could maintain without stress. The freedom to spend more time with her grandchildren, to travel, to paint. This vision kept her moving, because the point of decluttering isn't loss, it's gain. You're not losing objects, you're gaining space, freedom, and clarity. Ask yourself, what do I want my home to feel like when this is done? What do I want my days to look like when I'm not buried in stuff? Hold on to that vision. It will carry you when motivation falters. Secret 5. Declutter your mind alongside your space. Margaret discovered that as her home became lighter, so did her mind. She slept better. She worried less. She felt calmer. Why? Because clutter isn't just physical. It clutters your thoughts. Every pile is a to-do you haven't done. Every box is a decision you've delayed. When you release the clutter, you release mental weight too. Decluttering is as much about peace of mind as it is about organizing shelves. As Margaret said, when I cleared my home, I cleared my head. So here they are, the 5 secrets. Start small. 1 drawer, 1 shelf, 1 small victory at a time. Sort and categorize. Keep, donate, discard, nothing else. Acknowledge emotions. Let yourself feel them, then let them go. Focus on freedom and clarity. Keep your vision of the future in front of you. Declutter your mind. Remember, this is about peace as much as possessions. Imagine how your life could feel if you applied just one of these today. Which secret could you start with right now? We've journeyed through the truths no one talks about. The good, the bad, the ugly, the misconceptions, and the secrets. And now it's time to bring it all together. In the next section, we'll reflect on what this process really means, not just for your home, but for your health, your happiness, and the legacy you leave behind. We spent this time together uncovering what most people never talk about when it comes to decluttering and downsizing. We've seen the good, the joy of simplicity, the peace of a lighter home, the time and freedom that seniors like Margaret and Harold discovered. We've faced the bad, the emotional roller coaster, the guilt, the fear of letting go, and the decision fatigue that can drain you before you've even begun. We've uncovered the ugly, the mistakes that set us back, like trying to do it all at once, or waiting too long, or carrying the clutter into a smaller space. We've cleared away the misconceptions, the myths that tell you it's too late, too overwhelming, or only for minimalists. And we've ended with the 5 secrets that make the journey possible. Starting small, sorting with intention, allowing the emotions, focusing on freedom, and decluttering your mind as much as your home. And now, I want to leave you with this truth. Decluttering is not just about your house, it's about your life. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you create space, not just in your closets, but in your heart. You create space for the things that truly matter: relationships, health, peace, and joy. You create space for the people you love, for the passions you've put aside, for the freedom you've been quietly craving. And most importantly, you give a gift to yourself and to your family. Because downsizing now means your children won't one day have to carry the heavy burden of sorting through decades of belongings. It means they'll remember you for the stories, the laughter, the love, not the clutter left behind. So I invite you today, not just to think about decluttering, but to take one small step. Open a drawer, clear a shelf, donate a box. Let yourself feel the relief that comes with that little act of letting go. Because every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to a home that feels lighter, calmer, safer, and freer. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to do it alone. You simply have to begin. If today's video has given you hope, encouragement, or even just a little spark of motivation, I'd love to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Here we talk honestly about the challenges and joys of senior living, not with quick fixes or sugarcoating, but with real stories, real truths, and real solutions. And when you subscribe, you won't just be getting videos. You'll be joining a community of seniors who are choosing to live lighter, freer, and more intentional lives. Before you go, I encourage you to watch the 2 videos linked on the end screen. The first will walk you through 7 harsh truths about decluttering your home, what no one tells you. The second will guide you through 15 daily habits seniors with the cleanest homes swear by. Both will give you practical steps to keep this momentum going. So, take a breath, take a step, and remember, you're not just decluttering your home, you're creating a future of peace, clarity, and freedom. And you deserve every bit of it.